Hello, Kim. Hello, Heather. Good to see you guys.
Hi, Jean. Hi, Heather.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, I am Jean Yao, a biomedical researcher and a health coach.
I'm Kim Fox, registered dietitian and specializing in functional nutrition.
Hi, I'm Heather Carpentier, and I'm a health and wellness consultant.
When we are getting to 40s and 50s, many of us feel less energy, less sleep, maybe more anxious compared to when we were in our 20s or 30s. It's a stress awareness month for April. Last time we talked how laughter is good medicine. Today we are going to discuss something that can release our stress and boost our energy. Kim, Heather, what are you going to tell us today?
Today, we are going to talk about gardening. So whether you are an avid gardener or whether you've never planted a seed, please stay with us because I believe that there is something that you can learn and apply to help relieve stress. So here are some of the benefits that are associated with gardening that help reduce stress. One study looked at a 12-week-long gardening intervention program in individuals that had been diagnosed with depression, and that study spanned over several years. The researchers measured several mental health aspects before and after the intervention, finding that each program participant had significant improvements in their symptoms that lasted even for months after the program had been discontinued. And they felt that this was due to an overall decrease in stress hormones. So this type of intervention is called horticulture therapy, and it has also been shown to provide great results for those with different types of addictions. Now, to me, this sounds like a great reason to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we should go out right now after this chat.
Yeah, go play in the dirt. And and your self-esteem can even increase as you plant your seeds, water them, weed, fertilize your garden, and you're watching everything grow. So not only does it provide stress reduction, but look at all the other host of additional benefits that you can gain from gardening. Strengthened immunity and bones from obtaining that vitamin D from the sun. It counts as exercise because you're bending, twisting, pulling, reaching for things, and all of these things are going to help build stamina, strength, flexibility, and can reduce joint pain. And did you know you can burn up to 330 calories an hour by doing light gardening? And this is according to the Centers for Disease Control.
Wow, really? Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It is. So your gut health can also be improved because as you're digging in the dirt, you are, getting exposed to some of that good microbacteria that's in our soil. And research even showed that for individuals that are 60 and above that engage in gardening, they have a 30% less chance of suffering a heart attack or stroke than individuals of the same age that do not garden. I think that's some pretty fantastic
Wow, that's
statistics.
very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. So you might be thinking, well, this sounds great. However, what if I've never gardened before?
Yeah, like me, I did some gardening, but I'm not really a very good gardener.
Well, hopefully we'll give you some tips and you'll be a better gardener.
Okay.
So Heather, what tips could you give us for individuals that have never gardened before? Does this mean too bad, so sad?
No. And I think you have this great list. This is a great way to start. Start small. I mean, we can all get really excited to garden and take off a little bit more than we can chew. And then we're frustrated, like weeds or things like that. So starting small is really great. And you can grow each year, pun intended, in your garden size. But you can use pots or containers. You don't have to till up your land. You can use raised beds. A lot of them now, actually, you can buy raised beds that out of wood that are at working height, so you don't have to do the bending. And one thing nice about those truly raised beds that are up higher, you also don't have as many critters that can get in them. And you want to choose seeds, plant things that you're going to eat. You don't want to plant a bunch of stuff you're not going to eat. That's frustrating. Yes, you can give it away, but you want to reap a good harvest. And, you know, basically your tools, you're going to need a spade tool, maybe some gardening gloves, and that's about it. You know, it doesn't take a lot to get started.
That sounds not very difficult, quite easy.
Yeah.
So Heather, what if we have limited space?
Limited space. Well, that can be, you know, there's a few ways that we can do a lot of things in pots. Here's a huge list. One thing I will say, most herbs do really well in pots. And one thing nice, when you do them in pots, some of them you can actually bring in the fall and then keep them going a little bit longer. But beets, carrots, I mean, I know you think carrots, but you can do carrots in pots. Eggplant, squash, lettuce is another one that is great in a pot. And I don't know if you know this, but with lettuce, you can cut them off and they'll regenerate and grow more. So it's not a one and done thing with lettuce. You can harvest it and it will grow back on many of the different lettuces. Spinach, okra, bell peppers and jalapenos, radishes. And then if you have a big enough pot, you can always do your tomatoes. They just need a pretty big pot. But there are so many things that you can just start with these containers. And you know, a lot of people give up their containers too, that like when they have these gardeners that they might purchase plants, they might give you some old containers that you can use instead of purchasing a whole bunch of pots and stuff like that. So you can save money too by reusing some pots.
Yeah, I was
I will try
surprised.
lettuce. I will try lettuce.
Yeah, I was surprised when I was at Lowe's the other day getting some more seeds. These are all the seeds I found that you could now plant in containers.
Yep.
So that's how I found a lot of these things out. So yeah.
Yeah.
Is that too late to plant seeds right now?
It will depend on what you are planting. Some things you don't want to plant until it's the chance of frost is gone, but I already have my lettuce and some radishes in the garden.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Maybe I should start that right now.
So tell us, so here we have some ingredients for healthy gardens. Tell us about these different types of seeds or plants.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot. You're going to see organic, you're going to see heirloom, you're going to see hybrids. These are all different kinds of seeds. Heirloom are probably your best bet to use. Yes, we can use organic, and a lot of times heirloom is organic, but to be certified as organic, it's a little bit more expensive. So obviously you're going to pay more for it. But when we look at heirloom, those are seeds that have proven themselves. In order to be an heirloom, they have to actually be at least 40 years old in the making.
Wow.
So, and they are seeds that, you know, they are going to do well. They only choose the best plants to get the seeds from. So the best attributes will be in those heirloom seeds. And if they have a plant that isn't performing well, they're not going to pull seeds from that. So heirloom is probably your best bet. There has been some studies saying that actually heirloom produce is more nutritious than your standard ones too. Kind of mixed on that. So, you know, the likelihood as far as GMO, genetically modified organism, these are more for big farmers. It's not likely you're going to find them in the store in your little packet. But they'll tell you if they're not, because that's kind of the thing. The one thing, hybrids are usable. They are a cross between two heirlooms to get the best thing. So I don't worry too much about hybrids unless you are going to seed save yourself, because then you will, if you seed save from a hybrid, you don't know what you're going to get. But if you seed save, say you have this beautiful tomato plant and it just, the best tomatoes came off of it. You'd want to save, and it's an heirloom, you want to save it from that tomato so that you can plant it next year and you'll get pretty close to the same thing. So that's kind of the thing on on seeds.
Hmm.
But do you want me to go on through the rest of the stuff as far as a healthy garden, or you want to go through it, Kim?
No, why don't you, I don't know anything about these teas. So what are these
Oh, on the
teas?
next slide. Okay. Oh, down. Okay. So the fertilizers. Yes. Okay. So everyone kind of knows we can do coffee grounds. Now you have to be careful with coffee grounds. There are some plants that absolutely do not like it because they're going to adjust your soil to make it a little bit more acidic. So you can use your coffee grounds, and the ones that have already been used will actually be less acidic than coffee grounds that haven't been used. So you can use those. You don't want to use those on tomatoes. Tomatoes don't like coffee grounds, too acidic. But there are other things. You can use eggshells, and what a better way, you know, you get eggs and you've got all these eggshells. You can just, I like to wash them out. You want to get all that white stuff out, dry them, and I actually bake them in the oven for 20 minutes so I kill any sort of bacteria. I don't want to cause a problem. Then I crush it. Most places on the internet will say you don't have to bake them. I just do that.
You mean eggshells?
Yeah, what's that?
You mean eggshells? Bake the eggshells?
Yeah, after, like when you crack an egg, I rinse it out, and then when I have a whole bunch of them, I put them on a cookie sheet and bake them. That way they kills any bacteria that's on there. If they're good and clean and dry, you're probably fine. Then I crush them up. And you can use them in your garden. Their tomatoes love them. They're a great source of calcium.
Yeah.
So you can, what I did last year, and I had so many tomatoes. I actually, when I dug my hole for my tomatoes, I put crushed eggshells in the hole and then planted it. That way the roots can start to use that. You can also use it as a mulch. So it's a great way to use up that stuff.
Oh, that's good to know.
There's a banana peel tea, so you can use up your banana peels. That one you can just take a whole bunch of banana peels, put them in a jar, fill it with water, let it soak for a week or so, and you can use that water to water your plants. It'll be full of potassium, phosphorus, and things like that. So it's just a great way to use up some of that stuff. So
I'm taking notes.
Yeah. Like
there is, I've also heard, there's been mixed on this, that if you do cabbage or things like that, if you use crushed eggshells around it, supposedly it will deter the slugs and stuff from going to your cabbage. There's been mixed results on that. But either way, you're going to replenish your soil as those eggshells break down with minerals.
that's great to know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, you know, get outside and do this. Have some fun.
Yeah, I feel like excited right now.
So we were talked about, when can we start our seeds indoors? I know you do that. I'm always a little leery to do that because of the, you know, then you got to move them outside and, you know, because I don't want to kill them. I did that last year with green beans, so had to start over.
Yeah. I start my peppers and I've started my tomatoes, but yes, you are going to have to hardy them up by putting them outside for a little bit more and let them get used to the sun and stuff like that. So yes, it's a greater process, but I'm planting, I mean, I've got close to 20 pepper plants started and probably that many or more tomato plants started. So just different varieties and things like that.
Okay.
So, and you know, just some things, like some of the herbs take a long time. So if you don't start them, you're not going to get a harvest. Like some of them take like 80 days, 90 days. So you want to start them, but you can buy a lot of this stuff already started and you know, just get it out in your garden. A lot of the places are actually starting to sell organic now too, started plants. So.
Well, we're going to talk about something. I know you've done this, but I'm actually on year number 5 of straw bale gardening. And some people are probably going, what the heck are you talking about? But I saw actually, you know, somebody else in the area do this and I was very intrigued. And then there was a class at one of our local nurseries and I thought, I'm going to go take that class, and came away with a book I purchased and dove right in and have been kind of doing it ever since. So I love the fact with the straw bale gardening that there's far less weeding. I have 2 to 3 gardens I use, and it's a lot of weeding. And I do love to weed, I really do, but it can be a little overwhelming. I also like with the straw bale gardening is that everything's at waist level, so I don't have to do a lot of bending over. The crops can be more bountiful. The growing season can be increased, so you can start a little earlier. You can maybe go a little bit later. And the bales break down, so it also produces great compost. So this is my yard. This is how my process started. And then this is actually where you see I have covered my bales, because you have to put fertilizer and then you have to water. So you have to do this seasoning period for a good about 2 weeks before you want to put the seeds in. And because it's really been chilly this year, I don't want to have to wait any longer. So I am trying to make more of this greenhouse effect. So I have covered up my bales so that they can stay moisture. And oh, that's another benefit too, is that the crops stay moisture. So that's where I am letting them season. So I'm on day number 6 now.
Okay.
And then after they are seasoned, so in about 2 weeks is what I'll do. So this is this picture here is what it looks like after, you know, the plants have been in. So again, you put some dirt on it. You know, I do probably a couple inches of dirt. I put my seeds or my plants in, and then I cover the dirt, you know, as it says on the package directions. So here I've got some cabbage plants. I usually have lettuce over here. Here I've got green beans that are coming up. And then I always do like a little fence or different poles so that my produce can grow upwards and not take up so much space. So here again, you can see there's my cabbage plants, and you know, the bales are ready is after about 2 weeks, you stick your hand into the bales and the inside is warm.
Yes.
So, and that's from all the bacteria, now all the microorganisms that are working to help produce that wonderful crop.
Wow,
So,
what an innovation about this straw bale. I never heard of this before.
Yeah,
It looks
just
very strange.
it looks very strange. And yes, when I first did it, I had all the neighbors coming over saying, you know, what are you doing? And what did they say to you, Heather, when you did it?
Well, we had a new neighbor, and she goes, I didn't know if you had a goat or something in your backyard. And I go, no. And so I brought her back so she could see what I was doing and stuff. So
yeah. So, and okay, this is not my garden. I don't know why. I've taken many pictures of the starting and during process. I've never taken a picture of my end product, but my layout is a little bit different. But yes, this is, I mean, mine has looked pretty similar to this. So, you know, I've got the different fencing and the plants that look just like this, and a compost on the, or straw, or excuse me, hay. We're using hay. What's nice too is that you can also increase, or you can plant some things on the side. Some people plant flowers to make it nicer. I've planted strawberries on the side. You can do some herbs on the side. So it's really kind of a prolific and fun and different way of gardening. So I've got a source for you here.
It looks very organized. It's very easy to organize, I guess.
Yeah, and again, very little weeding unless you don't, you know, cover
that's
your,
good
your
to
ground.
know. That's great.
So Heather, so that was one tip. Give us some more fun gardening tips or ideas for people that don't want to be as enthusiastic about gardening as I might be.
yeah. Well, you know, gardening is a process. And so there's some different ways that you can start. One is microgreens. Now I just started doing microgreens, and I actually did them through the winter. And basically I used a sunny window, but you could also have a plant light. But microgreens are pretty small, and the benefit is you get a harvest in 7 to 21 days, depending on your seeds. And microgreens are very healthy. Some of them can have 9 times more nutrients than the regular plant. Again, it's going to depend on the species. Now we're in the health food. They talk about sprouting and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of sprouting. It's kind of hard to do because you can get bacteria and mold pretty quickly. And that's the last thing, if you're working on your health, you want to get.
Yeah.
So microgreens are kind of a nice little thing. And they, if you see in the picture, they grow pretty tight and you just cut them off and you can throw them in your salad. I've done beets, I've done legumes, I've done tiny little lettuce, and it's all been great. I've been trying to do cilantro. I have failed thus far, but it's one of those processes that we're learning, and I heard they're kind of hard to do. And I couldn't even get cilantro really to grow in my garden last year either. So anyway, but that's a great way that you can do it. Another thing is, did you know many flowers are actually edible?
Mhm.
And what would be more fun than having a beautiful garden and you can eat some of your flowers, right? One of the other benefits is if you are gardening and you have other things, those flowers bring in the pollinators. And if you bring in the pollinators, you're going to have more fruit on your tomatoes, your peppers, your squashes, and things like that. So I use edible flowers both to eat and to use as pollinators. Just a few of them. You can eat the basil eggs. I'm going to list a few. Borage was huge in my garden. Caluluda, cameo, chives. Jean and I were talking about chives because we think of chives as an herb, but you can actually eat the flower too. Clover, dandelion. Yeah, dandelion. You can eat those. Both.
Oh, those flowers can be eaten?
Yep.
Flowers in the greens.
Yep. Dill, fennel, Johnny jump up. Those are the tiny little violets. Lavender, mint, rosemary, sage. That's just a list that you can actually eat both the herb and
Wow.
the flower. So this year my goal is to harvest more and make some flour cookies by pressing them into the cookies. I just got to
Cool.
find a healthy cookie recipe on that one. But and then the other thing is, if you really are getting into this, we have something called companion gardening. Now, last year I used this a little bit more. And what it is you want to plant certain items together. Now, the Native Americans did this with corn, beans, and squash. They were called the Three Sisters. And the corn grew tall, the beans could wrap around that, and the squash gave it shade, kept the ground cool so that it wouldn't dry out. Well, there's other ones. A good example is basil, parsley, and borage. They do well with tomatoes. And if you think about it, basil and tomato sauce go well together. So that's kind of interesting. But what'll happen is the basil and the parsley, they draw insects away from your tomatoes. And the borage is a very flowering flower, and it'll bring in the pollinators. So it will really help to get more bang for your buck. Plus, you know, they are edible. Another one is sunflowers. This I'm going to try this year. Instead, I'm going to try to do sunflowers with my pole beans to see if my pole beans will go up my sunflowers because they're nice and sturdy.
Good.
So that's the goal for this year. They also pair well with cucumbers. You can do it with. So I might try it with my cukes too, because then they provide support for the cucumber, but they also can keep a little bit of shade. So those are just a couple of the companion ones. I will say that there are some that shouldn't be together. You want to check, like you don't want to plant fennel near carrots because they'll cross-pollinate. And dill is that way too. You don't want your dill with your carrots. They'll cross-pollinate. So there's some different ones that you have to kind of be. I think in the resources, there is a companion chart of different things. Yep. Mother Earth News has a companion planting guide that would be great if you want to take advantage of some of these things.
Yeah, I really like the idea of sunflower with the green beans.
Yeah.
So these are all the sources we use. There's my straw bale garden. There's the microgreens. So we included these on here for you, for any of you that are interested or want to do some dabbling or anyway, so have fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Heather. Thank you very much for showing great instructions for straw bale gardening and other gardening tips. It is a new way to do gardening. I hope you, just like me, will begin to give a try in your garden. Recently, we got some requests from people for topics about what are the changes that can occur when you get to 50. So next time, we will have a webinar to talk about osteoporosis. Your bones matter. As you see in this picture, when we are getting older and older, our bones will have big changes, which will have big impacts on our everyday life. Later, we will have more topics about aging this year. That is all for today. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Heather. Goodbye. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.